Welcome back to Becoming Ultimate Masters.
Oh, it's good to be back.
I'm so glad you're joining us for another deep dive. You know what we do here?
Hmm.
You send us something interesting, something that grabbed your attention, and we kind of roll up our sleeves and dig into the details and see what treasures we can unearth.
Yeah, like an intellectual treasure hunt.
Exactly. Sifting through the layers to uncover those golden nuggets of knowledge. Today's treasure map leads us to the fascinating realm of imagination and its power to shape the world around us.
I like that.
Our listener sent in a YouTube video featuring a lecture by Neville Goddard,
Oh, Neville Goddard.
a 20th century spiritual teacher.
His lectures are always so captivating.
Yeah, and it's brimming with intriguing ideas.
You can say that again.
And the story we're focusing on today revolves around Neville's own experience, guided by his friend Abdullah. It's a story about longing about seemingly insurmountable obstacles, and ultimately about the power of belief to turn dreams into reality.
It's the kind of story that sparks that little flicker of possibility within us. That maybe, just maybe, we have more control over our lives than we realize.
Exactly. So let's set the scene. It's the 1930s, the Great Depression has cast a long shadow over America, and Neville, a dancer at the time, finds himself struggling financially. Theaters are closed, jobs are scarce, and the atmosphere in New York City is one of despair.
It's a situation that so many can relate to even today. Feeling stuck, limited by circumstances, yearning for something more, but not knowing how to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be.
Right, and for Neville, that something more was a world away, literally. He longed to escape the bleakness of New York and find himself on the sun-kissed shores of Barbados. But there was one major problem. He was flat broke.
Ah, the classic dilemma, the heart's desire clashing with the harsh realities of the material world. It's a tension that so many of us grapple with.
Definitely. So with a heavy heart and an empty wallet, Neville turns to his friend Abdullah, who was known for his spiritual wisdom and unconventional teachings. He pours out his longing for Barbados, hoping for some guidance, some glimmer of hope.
I can only imagine how Neville must have felt. Vulnerable, perhaps a little desperate, seeking a lifeline in the midst of his struggles.
Absolutely. And Abdullah's response is not what you'd expect. Instead of offering practical advice or words of comfort, he simply states, "You are in Barbados."
Now that's a curious statement, isn't it? Not exactly the straightforward solution Neville was probably hoping for. It sounds more like a riddle than a roadmap.
It does, doesn't it? But this is where things get really interesting. Abdullah wasn't dismissing Neville's desire or suggesting he was delusional. He was introducing him to a powerful principle, the power of imagination to shape reality.
It's a concept that might seem outlandish at first glance, but it's one that has captivated philosophers and spiritual teachers for centuries. This idea that our thoughts, our beliefs, our inner world can have a tangible impact on the outer world.
Exactly. And Abdullah wasn't just talking about daydreaming or wishful thinking. He was talking about a deliberate, conscious act of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
That's a key distinction, isn't it? It's not just about visualizing the desired outcome, but about embodying the feeling, the emotion, the state of being, as if it were already true.
Absolutely. So Neville takes Abdullah's words to heart, and every night he closes his eyes and transports himself to Barbados in his imagination. He feels the warm sand between his toes, hears the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, smells the sweet scent of tropical flowers in the air.
He's not just passively picturing it, he's immersing himself in the experience,
Yeah.
creating a vivid sensory reality within his mind.
Exactly. He even goes a step further and visualizes New York City as 2,000 miles to the north, reinforcing the idea that he is no longer in that space of lack and limitation, but has already arrived at his desired destination.
It's a powerful technique, isn't it? By repeatedly engaging in this act of mental and emotional transportation, he's essentially reprogramming his subconscious mind, aligning his inner reality with his outer aspirations.
It is, and I think this is where a lot of us might stumble. Because as Neville describes in the lecture, weeks turn into months, and outwardly, nothing seems to change. No sudden windfall of cash, no unexpected job offer, no magical portal to Barbados.
Yes, that's the part where doubt can creep in, where the logical mind starts to question the validity of this whole imagination business. We're so conditioned to believe that seeing is believing that tangible evidence is the only proof of reality.
Right, and in his frustration, Neville confronts Abdullah, exclaiming, "If I don't make it onto the next boat, I can't go to Barbados."
Oh, I bet that was a tense moment. Neville's desperation is palpable, that feeling of being on the precipice of hope and despair.
It is. And Abdullah's response is both firm and insightful. He says to Neville, "Who said you're going to Barbados? You are in Barbados." And then, almost to punctuate his point, he slams the door in Neville's face.
Wow. Talk about tough love. But there's a profound lesson embedded in that seemingly harsh gesture.
There is. And that's what we'll be unpacking in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore what Abdullah was really getting at and how Neville's story unfolds from there.
I think with that door slam, Abdullah wasn't just, being dramatic or anything.
Right.
He was highlighting a crucial point, the need to really embrace the desired state, to live from that reality, even when external circumstances haven't caught up yet.
Okay, I see that. But honestly, I'm still kind of wrestling with this idea. It's easy to get caught up in the how, the practical steps, the logistics, the tangible evidence. How do we reconcile that with this concept of simply assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled?
Yeah, you've hit on a key challenge that many people face. When they first, encounter this principle, we're just so accustomed to operating from a place of, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
But what Abdullah was teaching Neville, and what Neville, later emphasized in his own teachings, is that it often works the other way around. You have to believe it to see it.
So it's about shifting our perspective from focusing on those external conditions to cultivating a deep inner conviction, a knowing that transcends the limitations of our current circumstances.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the power of our own consciousness to shape our reality. And while this might sound like some, new age mystical mumbo jumbo, there's actually a growing body of scientific research that supports this idea.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
Well, for example, studies on the placebo effect have shown that our beliefs and expectations can have a really profound impact on our physical health.
Wow.
Simply believing that a treatment will work, even if it's a sugar pill, can trigger real physiological changes in the body.
That's fascinating. So in a sense, we're talking about harnessing the power of the placebo effect, but instead of relying on external substances, we're activating it through our own thoughts and beliefs.
Precisely. And this principle extends beyond the realm of physical health. Think about the role of visualization in sports.
Yeah.
Athletes who vividly imagine themselves, performing successfully are often more likely to achieve their goals. Or consider the concept of self-fulfilling prophecies.
Right.
If we believe something to be true, we often act in ways that make it more likely to come to pass.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this principle could apply to various aspects of life. But let's get back to Neville's story. What happens after that intense encounter with Abdullah?
Well, remember that Neville was facing a deadline, the next boat to Barbados. And despite Abdullah's, cryptic guidance, he's still grappling with doubt and uncertainty.
I can only imagine the roller coaster of emotions he must have been experiencing. Hope battling with skepticism, longing intertwined with fear.
Absolutely. But then just 48 hours after that confrontation with Abdullah, something remarkable happens.
Okay, here comes the twist.
Indeed. Neville finds a letter under his door from his brother Victor, who lives in Barbados.
Oh, wow.
And guess what's inside?
Don't keep me in suspense. Is it the golden ticket to Barbados?
It is. A steamship ticket along with $50 for spending money. His brother had even arranged for all his expenses to be covered during his stay.
Wow. Talk about a manifestation. It's like the universe conspired to make his dream a reality.
It certainly seems that way. And here's where Abdullah's words come full circle. He had told Neville, "You have gone to Barbados and you went first class." And guess what? The ticket was initially for steerage, the cheapest class of travel, but as Neville is picking up his ticket, he's informed that there's been a cancellation and he's been upgraded to first class.
No way. That's incredible. It's as if Abdullah knew all along how this would unfold.
It's a truly remarkable story and a powerful testament to the power of belief to shape our reality. But what's even more fascinating is what happens next.
Ooh, there's more. Now I'm really intrigued.
There is. You see, when Neville arrived in Barbados, he discovered something that added another layer of depth to this whole experience.
Okay, you got to tell me. What was it?
Well, it turns out that his brother had been facing some serious financial difficulties and was in no position to send him a ticket, let alone cover his expenses.
Wait, so where did the money in the ticket come from?
That's the mystery, isn't it? It's as if some unseen force orchestrated the entire chain of events, leading to the fulfillment of Neville's desire. And this is where things get really interesting, where we move beyond the realm of mere coincidence and into the realm of what some might call synchronicity or divine intervention.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. So what's the takeaway for our listener? How do we bridge the gap between This incredible story and the realities of our own lives, it
Mm.
really makes you wonder what's really possible when we tap into that power.
It does.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? How do we bridge the gap between this incredible story and the realities of our own lives?
I think that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do we actually take this and apply it?
Right.
And I think the key is to start small. Choose something that you really desire, but
Mm.
something that feels attainable, something you can really emotionally get behind.
So maybe not winning the lottery or
Yeah,
becoming a world-famous musician overnight?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's about, as we were talking about earlier, building that imagination muscle.
Right.
So you want to pick something that really excites you, but also feels like, okay, yeah, I could see that happening.
Okay. Like that.
So maybe you have an exam coming up and you really want to get a good grade.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've had your eye on someone and you finally want to work up the courage to go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that,
They feel attainable.
yes, they feel attainable.
Right.
And so then what you do is you spend a few minutes each day really vividly imagining the feeling of that desire being fulfilled.
Okay.
So close your eyes, engage all of your senses. What would it look like?
Yeah.
What would it sound like to have aced that exam?
Yeah.
How would you feel? What would your facial expression be?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you call first to tell them about it?
Right.
What would they say?
Oh, I'd love that.
The more details you can bring into it, the more real it's going to feel to your subconscious mind.
And most importantly, how would it feel? That seems to be the key ingredient here.
Yeah.
Not just thinking about it, but actually feeling it as if it were already true.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating that deep inner knowing, that unshakable belief that what you desire is already on its way. And remember, persistence is key.
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged if you don't see results right away. Keep practicing, keep believing, and I think you'll be amazed at how your reality starts to shift in some pretty incredible ways.
This has been such an inspiring deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the power of my own mind.
I think we all have that power within us
I think so too.
to shape our realities through the power of imagination.
Well, a huge thank you to our listener for sending us this thought-provoking material. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Neville Goddard's fascinating story and the principles he shared.
And remember, if you'd like to delve deeper into these concepts and learn how to apply them in your own life, visit us at www.ultimatemasters.org, coaching, or WhatsApp us at +256 771 324 119. We're here to support you on your journey of becoming ultimate masters of your own destinies.
That's all for today's deep dive. Be sure to check back daily for new episodes, and please share this content with others who might be blessed with this information.
Until next time, keep those imaginations flowing, and remember, anything is possible if you believe.